Hey guys, today we're playing Ready or Not on PS5. So, first thing I
So
want to talk
strange.
about
Can't discern the women from the children.
is the loadouts. This really isn't going to be much of a gameplay focused video. I have made my channel into a more, a more tactical gameplay wise channel. Games like Operator, Ready or Not, Body Cam, and we're mainly going to be sticking with Ready or Not. So I just wanted to make some videos to kind of establish a tiny bit of a community, and hopefully that works. Now I want to talk about what is a good loadout in Ready or Not, and that's a really good question because it's a type of game where it's not like Call of Duty where there is a meta, but there's some objectively pretty good guns. Now, a lot of people like the GA 416. I like it myself. 5.56. Um, Not really good in full auto because you're gonna have high recoil, but one that I think a lot of people sleep on is the MCX. The MCX is another 5.56 rifle. It has low to moderate recoil, 850 rounds per minute, and a 30 round magazine. Now, I normally don't use the SRS site, but I've, come inclined to it. And I'm gonna go over the reason why I like all this stuff and think it's a pretty objectively good setup. After, I always go with the suppressor. It adds a lot of benefits and helps. I forget how it works, but I do believe the suspects have some type of stress meter that goes up, and the suppressor kind of delays that in a way. The combat grip, any laser, uh, whichever one you want. I never use canted off sights, but if you like that, you can. And then whatever flashlight you want. Now, ammo's really interesting because AP, even though it's, meant for armor piercing, it's also pretty good against, unarmored suspects. So what I say is if you have a rifle round, like 5.56, 7.62, um, you're definitely going to want to go to hollow point for unarmored suspects. And the reason I say this is because you're gonna need to avoid over penetration. Because a lot of times it doesn't happen a lot, but you want to minimize the risk. You could shoot and then it hit a civilian through a wall or something. Uh, Hollow points for rifles, and then all around for pistols, depending on the pistol, I tend to go armor piercing. I'd say 9 mags if you're using AI teammates is enough magazines, and honestly, even if it's solo for most mission. 2 sidearm uh, ammunition, or sorry, 2 sidearm magazines. God, can't speak. And then you're gonna have 2 extra things. So this can fluctuate between whatever you like. Personally, I like the 5.7. The Glock 18C, not even because it's fully automatic, but it can be really good to have that extra ammo if you put it on semi. Or the S2011P, you could choose any of those. For armored suspects, definitely armor piercing with the 5.7. And just, this is the setup I use, and you can use any sight you please. Again, long tactical, anything you want. I recommend using light ceramic for most missions. Some missions are an exception. Uh, and I'm not going to go over that because it just depends on the mission. But that's like the base setup I would use. MCX, and then the 5.7. And then the rest could be whatever you like. And I said I would explain why I like this gun. Not too long, not too short. You got 5.56, which is plenty for most times. Low, decent, manageable recoil with attachments. It's not too crazy and fully if you're in a situation where you need fully. And it just is an overall pretty good weapon with some pretty good attachments. Um, the 5.7 for obvious reasons. I mean, if you're going against armored suspects, 5.7 absolutely is amazing for that. And the rest is all up to personal preference, and I hope this video helped. I will see y'all later.